Aurora prepares to close a second apartment complex where the city says tenants have been abandoned by a landlord who instead blames a gang. Superior wants to ask its citizens to give the government more power. Not going well so far. The city literally forgot to put it on the ballot, so it could cost more taxpayer dollars. The Nuggets championship mural. It's seen better days. And when I learned this week is week number 400 for Your Good News, I nearly did a spit take at Llama Fest.
Our good news of the day is that we get to come and show in Castle Rock at Llama Fest.
It's the news, and it's other stuff too, because this is next. The city of Aurora is losing patience with the out-of-state landlord who essentially abandoned 3 apartment complexes, landlord blaming it on a Venezuelan gang. The city's now threatening to shut down a second one of the apartment buildings, saying the landlord isn't keeping it up and is refusing to cooperate with police investigations. We've learned that Aurora Police Chief Todd Chamberlain designated the edge of Lowry Apartments near Dallas Street as a criminal nuisance property. Chamberlain's notice cites dozens of calls for service since late 2023 and a history of code violations. The city says they'll shut down this property if things don't improve. The owners of the apartments say the property is one of 3 that they own that has been taken over by a Venezuelan gang, Tren de Aragua, and they've fled the premises, the landlord says, for their own safety. This Edge of Lowry complex is the site of the now viral video that shows armed men entering an apartment unit. Aurora Police say that they have identified the men in this video but have not confirmed any gang affiliation. Earlier this month, Aurora city leaders offered to equip these properties with on-site police officers as long as the staff for the property management company would come back on site, pick up the trash, fix broken windows, and improve the places. In a letter announcing the criminal nuisance designation, the police chief says that hasn't happened and, quote, ownership has no plans to replace on-site property services. The city's already taken the unprecedented step of shutting down another property owned and operated by this same CBZ management. Last month, about 300 residents were evicted from the Aspen Grove complex at Colfax and Nome. At the time, Mayor Mike Kaufman called the owners out-of-state slumlords and said the city was shutting down the apartments due to uninhabitable conditions and code violations dating back years. Aurora Police and city leaders have repeatedly said that this gang, Tren de Aragua's presence in Aurora, is quote-unquote small, police chief's own words this week. And they've said the gang's impact has been limited to a few select properties. So far, police say they've arrested 9 people associated with that gang. So when you get your election ballot, and you fill in too many bubbles in one race, that's called an overvote. When you don't fill in any bubbles, that's called an undervote. And when your town forgets to put the ballot question on there altogether, that's called a Superior screw-up. People in the town of Superior expecting to vote on 3 ballot issues will only see 2. Our Marshall Zellinger explains.
The town of Superior wanted to ask voters 3 questions on the November ballot. One is a sales tax increase to fund pools, parks, and roads. Then there's the question electing 3 of 6 candidates as town trustees. And the third question, well, it doesn't matter because it's not on the ballot.
What's missing is our home rule charter question.
Superior Mayor Mark Lasis explained to me how the town was going to ask voters to approve a home rule charter, like these 107 other cities and towns. A home rule charter is like a local constitution and gives the town the power to govern independently on issues of purely local concern instead of relying on state law. Issues like election procedures, budgeting, and borrowing. The ballots that will be sent to Superior voters will have the sales tax question and the trustee question, but not the home rule question.
As far as we know, our town staff neglected to submit the home rule charter question to the Boulder County Clerk and Recorder's Office.
We send proofs of those laid out ballots to each of our entities.
Stephanie Ganoza is the Boulder County Elections Director, who told me how her office sends sample ballots to be approved by the town before they're sent off to be printed.
They actually found a typo in those proofs in their Tabor issue. And so in that sense, I think the proofing process did work a bit.
When Ganoza sent Superior the sample ballots, the town returned it with a correction in the sales tax question. The word issue should say issued, but the town did not say, hey, an entire ballot question is missing.
I think there needs to be accountability for this type of mistake.
The mayor said the town council will hold a special meeting next week to consider a special election next month, which would cost the town money it would not have had to spend if this ballot space was not blank.
We're certainly going to want to understand what the costs are associated with it and what the ramifications are of not doing so.
Quick correction, a special meeting next week to hold a special election in December, the month after the real election is taking place. The ramifications are this. Home rule charter votes have strict timelines set in law, so that's why the election has to happen by December, or the whole charter process needs to start from scratch, which I believe includes selecting new charter commission members, writing the charter from the beginning, yada, yada, yada. Another ramification, if the election has to happen by December, the Boulder County Clerk's office likely can't do it. There could be recounts happening from the November election, so Superior might have to do the election itself or hire a third party to help out. That's what next week's meeting is going to discuss.
Mistakes happen. It's not confidence inspiring.
I mean, I made a mistake in that story, and I corrected it on the spot.
Right, okay.
Yeah, mistakes
you corrected
happen.
it at zero cost to the taxpayer.
Correct.
Marshall Zellinger, thank you. Want to let you know about a debate that Marshall and I will be moderating in just a little bit here. It's in Colorado's closest congressional race. October 8th, Next presents the race for Congress. Democratic Representative Dr. Yadira Caraveo taking on her Republican challenger, Gabe Evans. Hour-long commercial-free debate, which will air in place of Next at 6 p.m. on October 8th. This is for the 8th Congressional District, so Denver's northern suburbs up into Weld County. It'll be live on 9 News and streaming on 9 News Plus. If you happen to live in that district, so think like northern suburbs, Adams County up towards Greeley. If you live in that district, I'd like to hear from you, like personally, about the issues that matter most to you and your community, because what you're talking about can help guide our conversation that we have in our debate. You can email me, next@9news.com, or you can now text me at 303-871-1491. Earlier this week, Wheat Ridge Police decided that a crash that killed 3 people on I-70 was a quote-unquote tragic, heartbreaking accident, not a crime. Police say that the semi-truck driver involved in that crash did everything right on what is currently a dangerous stretch of highway. So with the driver now off the hook, the state's liability for the crash is also limited. Wheat Ridge Police say this semi was driving through a construction zone near I-70 in Ward in August, had a legal-sized load, it was strapped down properly, and it was going 59 miles per hour in a 60-mile-per-hour zone. But the truck still overturned and spilled its load. It killed a newlywed couple and another member of their family. Weeks later, CDOT dropped the speed limit in that area and added additional signs. If the family decides to file a civil lawsuit against CDOT and the state, Colorado's liability is capped by the state's Government Immunity Act at $424,000 per person. Not often that a state fair entry will land you in federal court, but an artist's controversial entry to the Colorado State Fair is likely to lead to a long legal battle over just who owns his work.
The work behind me is AI-assisted artwork created by me using Midjourney, which is my preferred platform.
Jason Allen first made headlines in 2022 when his AI-assisted artwork won a digital arts competition at the fair in Pueblo. Allen says it took him dozens of hours to create that work as he fed hundreds of prompts into this AI software, Midjourney. Allen says since his work gained attention, other people have been cashing it in. They've been selling copies online. But Allen says his copyright requests have been denied since the Copyright Office determined he was not the true creator of the artwork. This week, he appealed that in federal court. His lawsuit argues that using AI is essentially the same thing as another artist using a camera or a paintbrush.
I think it's a mistake to attribute human characteristics to something that isn't human. It's as ridiculous, in my view, as attributing authorship to a paintbrush.
The Copyright Office has in the past questioned new technologies. When photography was invented back in the 1880s, someone tried to register the copyright in the photograph, and the Copyright Office denied that also. They thought the camera was the author, not the human.
So Allen's lawsuit could set a precedent for how AI is used in creative works like art and music and film. It's not the first time the federal courts have wrestled with this question of who owns AI-generated content. Earlier this year, federal court in D.C. rejected a similar copyright appeal, but the artwork in that case was created solely by an algorithm, didn't have any human input. So there's a pediatrician's office in Jefferson County that cares for every family's children who come in the door, even if they can't pay. Our Word Thanks microgiving campaign this week supports the nonprofit Caron Clinic. The Caron Clinic welcomes families without insurance. Most of their patients do have Medicaid, which often does not cover the full cost of care, which is why that nonprofit is always looking for generous groups and individuals in the community to help out so that they don't have to limit how many kids with Medicaid they can treat. They've been around since 1997, serving families on the west side of town. They turn no one away. Their work began with 2 school nurses who realized that many of their students in Jeffco did not have a place to go for regular health care. Decades later, that clinic's open 5 days a week, on call 24/7. They provide thousands of clinic visits a year. Scan that QR code on your screen or text the word thanks to 303-871-1491 to get that link to join me in donating to the Caron Clinic. Or you can simplify your giving by joining the more than 3,000 Coloradans who are making a monthly donation to the Word of Thanks Fund. You put in your info once, and we automatically split up the donation among each nonprofit we feature that month. And what that means is that we've started each weekly campaign with $23,000 for those nonprofits. So it's a pretty simple lesson, right? Fire and ice don't mix. Scientists say Colorado's wildfires could have lasting effects on our snowpack.
This is probably one of the most beautiful spots on this road.
Nuggets are about to try and make another run at an NBA championship. Their championship mural could use some sprucing up. And we hit the road for an answer to our favorite Friday question. Come on now, spit it out already. The effects of the Cameron Peak fire could be felt for years, and not just in terms of the flooding that we tend to see in burn scars. New research shows that those burned areas could also have an impact on the snowpack. Researchers at Colorado State found snowpack decreases for years after a wildfire, and the reason's pretty logical. Without tree cover, the burn scar gets more sun. The snow melts more quickly. The angle of the slope also means that snow melts away faster when it's uncovered. Research found that snowpack peaked 3 weeks earlier than usual on burned slopes that face south. Meteorologist Lauren Robinson, I mean, that makes perfect sense when you think about it, right? When we're always talking about landslides and floods in burned areas, but they're very exposed.
That's right, and when it comes to snowpack, the rate at which the snow melts really plays a big impact on that. So if it melts too quickly, the ground can absorb it and we can't collect that snowpack. So we're going to keep an eye out for that, of course. But right now, over downtown Denver, sunny skies. We had another warm day out there today. We weren't breaking any records, but we still were above average as we were in the upper 80s, about 10 degrees above our seasonal high for this time of year. 82 right now at DIA, still seeing those clear skies. Winds coming in from the east-northeast at around 8 miles per hour. Now, Helene has long made its way onshore. We're seeing heavy showers across portions of the Midwest and into the southeast because of it. So right now, areas like Nashville, Memphis, all the way through southern portions of Indiana and into Illinois, as well as southeastern portions of Missouri, seeing the heaviest rain behind that. On the flip side of that, we're still seeing an area of high pressure over Colorado. We did get a couple of light rain showers across the high country areas as expected. This wasn't due to Helene. This was due to a cool front that pushed its way through, and that's what dropped our highs from the 90s yesterday into the 80s today. Overnight tonight, we're going to see those lows in the 50s. We're going to be in the 80s tomorrow. The next several days, we continue to be very sunny, very dry. A couple more chances to possibly break some record highs.
Less than 2 years after the Nuggets championship mural colorfully celebrated their first title, that poor thing's fallen apart. It's really looking a lot worse for the wear at Colfax and High Street, especially when you get up close. Our Evan Krupp.
The mile-high city is filled with splashes of color, murals of people, places, and culture, admired by artists of every level.
I don't have art skills. I couldn't even draw a stick figure straight.
But Omen Cross does enjoy looking at this mural on Colfax near High Street, honoring the Nuggets championship season.
Because this is probably one of the most beautiful spots on this road.
But 2 years after being painted, that beauty is beginning to fade.
Oh yeah, this started as just a little crack. That piece is missing. He looks like he's crying because there's chips coming out of that. It looks like he's drooling out his mouth because there's a piece missing there. And it's only a matter of time before these little pieces of damage become big holes in the mural that everybody loves so much.
Omen lives down the block and says the mural has become a gathering spot for those in need of shelter.
It's my own personal theory that the hope that was poured into this spot may still be remaining and attracting some of the more desperate people in the community.
Those who work nearby say people now sleep beneath it and use it to let out frustrations.
I work here at this 7-Eleven yesterday.
Nathan Fox sees it every day.
Oh, it's constant. In this parking lot, I'm kicking people out every day
We don't have the means, the manpower, or the ability to control an issue that's this far out of control.
Omen is choosing to look beyond the scratches.
Oh, it's still beautiful to me, minus a few defacements and pieces that are missing.
And hopes something can be done to save a piece of Denver history.
Because it's not just my mural, it's Denver's mural.
For Next, I'm Evan Krugel.
It's kind of sad the way it looks like he's crying and drooling. We reached out to the artist who painted the mural and to the company that owns the building. Haven't heard back yet.
You get to come down and meet llamas. You can walk a llama, you can hug a llama. They are the nicest animals in the universe.
It is impossible to be unhappy at a gathering called Falama Fest. So that's where we took our favorite Friday question that encourages us to set aside the news of the week and talk about what matters more to our neighbors. That's next. Remember Steve Steger? He still works here, he just doesn't work on this program anymore. He had this amazing idea when we launched Next 8 years ago. A cop from a radio show that he used to love in Michigan, where they would invite people to end each week on a positive note by sharing the good news in their lives. It's great because it makes you set aside the headlines of the week and focus on what matters more to people. This is the 400th week of Your Good News.
I am one of the organizers of Falama Fest, which is a llama show here at the Douglas County Fairgrounds. My name is Julie Hall, and my good news of the day is I'm here at Falama Fest in Castle Rock, Colorado.
Falama Fest.
It's a llama show and an alpaca show that we do once a year at the end of September.
Fallamafest.
And our good news of the day is that we get to come and show in Castle Rock at Llama Fest. We're super excited about it.
And you get to come down and meet llamas. You can walk a llama, you can hug a llama. They are the nicest animals in the universe.
My name's Kaylin, and today I'm gonna show my llama today.
So here we have Dot, and she's a 4-year-old Argentine llama.
And it's gonna be 3 days of good news.
She's called Dot because she has a dot.
This is Isadora, but we call her Izzy.
Showman, yes. He's named after the greatest showman, and he acts like a showman too. He's very confident.
They're just gentle creatures, and I think that's nice to have in the world that we're in right now.
He's the national grand champion.
Making sure you don't overhandle them so that they don't turn into a berserk llama, but they're so cute that it's like you have to really refrain from doing it.
Falama Fest. It's absolutely fun. Come down, enjoy yourselves. There's so much to see and do down here.
Hug a llama and just, have a good time. That's what the whole show is about.
They're cute because they look like people, but with bad haircuts and not great dental care. I think that's why we love them. Your feedback is next. Our friend Anusha Roy leaves 9 News this week for a new adventure on TV here in town. She'll be amazing at it because she's amazing at everything. I know you remember her years of work here on Next. Anusha Roy has many talents. The one that has always wowed me is her ability to make complex topics understandable. She always wants to tackle the story that's considered too difficult to turn into good television. Anusha knows the importance of those stories, and she knows what we all would be missing if she passed on them due to their complexity. She joined our debate moderating team, and I don't know if I have ever seen somebody master a new skill so quickly and so fearlessly. But I'll especially remember the time that we worked together apart during the pandemic. You got me in my basement with the fireplace and the wood circle, Anusha at her place with the trademark brick wall that we saw night after night and joked about night after night. And then there was that one time that her husband Mahir walked behind her interview wearing a unicorn onesie. Yeah, that made the show. That was unforgettable, but Anusha was always unflappable. She has a unique combination of intellect and kindness that makes her a tremendous journalist, and we will miss her around here a lot, but we'll all get to keep watching her work. Text feedback. I guess Kyle Clark doesn't read all his texts, just the one he likes. What a liar. I don't read them all here. That would be weird. I saw what you said. I just didn't care.